certainly the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
9/11 was nothing compared to this.
American 11, are you trying to call?
The cockpit is not answering their phone. Our number 1 has been staffed and our 5 has been staffed.
I am going to call from Washington. I am in a situation with American 11, a possible hijack.
What's going on, Betty? The aircraft is erratic again. Problem, very erratic. Betty, copy me. Betty, are you there? Betty? Betty? The plane is what? It's 737.
What?
Like the World Trade Center. Who are you talking to? Oh, God. Oh, my God.
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, 2 of them. Jules, this is Ryan. On an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, it's not looking good. I just want you to know it absolutely fuck you. I want you to do good. So have a good time. Thanks to my parents and everybody. I just totally love you, and I'll see you later. Bye, Dave.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
Oh my God. So both towers are now.
9/11 was nothing compared to this.
Sean, it's me. I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and I just wanted you to know that I love you always.
At number 2 World Trade Center, right? Lady with stewardess in the office. We're not ready to die, but it's getting bad.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. Say I'm gonna die. Ma'am, say your prayers. We're gonna think positive because you gotta help each other get off the floor. Now.
Deliberate and deadly attacks, which were carried out yesterday against our country, were more than acts of terror. They were acts of war. This will require our country to unite in steadfast determination and resolve. Freedom and democracy are under attack. This will be a monumental struggle of good versus evil, but good will prevail.
The full horror of what has happened in the United States earlier today is now becoming clearer. It is hard even to contemplate the utter carnage and terror which has engulfed so many innocent people. We've offered President Bush and the American people our solidarity, our profound sympathy, and our prayers. But it is plain that citizens of many countries around the world, including Britain, will have been caught up in this terror. As for those that carried out these attacks, there are no adequate words of condemnation. Their barbarism will stand as their shame for all eternity. As I said earlier, this mass terrorism is the new evil in our world. The people who perpetrate it have no regard whatever for the sanctity or value of human life. And we, the democracies of the world, must come together to defeat it and eradicate it. This is not a battle between the United States of America and terrorism, but between the free and democratic world and terrorism.
But I want to say that I know that this is a challenging time for all Americans. We're enduring a great national trial, and we will prove that we can meet the moment. I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy. We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war. And we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think of that.
And we, the democracies of the world, must come together to defeat it and eradicate it.
The aim of Test, Track and Trace is to hunt down and isolate the virus so it's unable to reproduce. And crucially, Test, Track and Trace allows us to take a more targeted approach to lockdown while still safely containing the disease.
Freedom and democracy are under attack.
We must act like any wartime government and do whatever it takes to support our economy.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care. Many died. Experts agree unless it is quickly controlled, it could lead to a severe pandemic, an outbreak that circles the globe and affects people everywhere.
The mission of the Pandemic Emergency Board is to provide recommendations to deal with the major global challenges arising in response to an unfolding pandemic. The board is comprised of highly experienced leaders from business, public health, and civil society.
We could be looking at double the number of cases in 1 week and 16 times as many in a month if we are not able to stop the spread. That would be on the order of 500,000 cases, and it would continue to rise exponentially. In 3 months, we could be approaching 10 million cases.
We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic. And there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business and governments working together.
We have known about caps-like viruses in animals and people for decades, but have not been successful at developing a licensed vaccine. And sure, there are new technologies that may help, but it's going to be difficult. I am not optimistic about having a vaccine in time to be relevant during this pandemic.
So the policy crisis in question for this board in this meeting is this. How should governments, business, and international organizations allocate and distribute pandemic antivirals and medical supplies to the people who need them most?
I'm delighted that the UK is co-hosting this summit and joining forces with all of you against our common enemy, the coronavirus. In our own countries, we've taken extraordinary measures, asking our people to accept sweeping restrictions on their way of life.
Freedom and democracy are under attack.
And by doing so, we formed a human shield around our health systems, enabling our heroic health workers to save many lives, including my own. But the truth is that none of us can succeed alone. To win this battle, we must work together to build an impregnable shield around all our people. And that can only be achieved by developing and mass producing a vaccine. The more we pull together and share our expertise, the faster our scientists will succeed. The UK is the biggest donor to the efforts of the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations to find a vaccine. We've committed up to £744 million to the global response to coronavirus.
This is not a battle between the United States of America and terrorism, but between the free and democratic world and terrorism.
Don't mess it up, everybody. You ready? That's a nice looking signature.
So there's always talk of that shining light, the light at the end of the tunnel. Trump also spoke about that on Friday the 13th at 3:33 when he announced a national state of emergency. Bush has also spoken about the 1,000 points of light, so on, so on. So here we are on the One World Observatory deck, watching the sunrise. On CBS, where you can see there, they've got the sun symbolism with the all-seeing eye in the middle. And that's an interesting cut to the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty, as you can see here, was based off an old sun god, Helios. Very similar. We've got the rays of sun on the hat, the torch, again, the light bearer. Now, if we just come down to the plaque here, we can also see, it's in the bottom of the Statue of Liberty, talking about the Enlightenment again. All Masonic. Here we can see the sun rising between the Twin Towers, as you can see here, depicted in the Masonic artwork. And we've also got the moon.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror, stronger in the pursuit of justice, and more secure in the quest for peace. An era in which the nations of the world, east and west, north and south, can prosper and live in harmony. 100 generations have searched for this elusive path to peace, while 1,000 wars raged across the span of human endeavor. And today that new world is struggling to be born. A world quite different from the one we've known. A world where the rule of law supplants the rule of the jungle. A world in which nations recognize the shared responsibility for freedom and justice. A world where the strong respect the rights of the weak. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will.
What sort of a financial deal should Obama be seeking to strike when he travels to China next month?
No, I think this would be the time, because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order, financial world order.
Let's say China. China, 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 China. You go over to China, 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 China. You take China.
China.
China. I love them. China, 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 China. I have to have my China. China, China, because China, 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 China now, China, China. China. I know China very well. China, 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 China.
We are not out of money. Yet. But the fact is we are trending in a dangerous direction and something needs to change.
So the policy question for this board now is, how should financial resources be prioritized? Are there nodes that we cannot allow to fail? What is your sense of priorities? We don't have money to pay for all of these urgent problems.
So at the moment, we want the funds, right? You need the money. So where's the money? So government kind of supplies a lot of, private sectors. Some are sitting here. You have some money. But now you need a really coordinated, centralized efforts.
China is set to introduce its own digital currency soon. And experts in an AFP report are predicting that the digital currency will be used to allow the government and the central bank to watch over what people spend their money on. The usual concept of cryptocurrencies allows users to trade under anonymity, but experts say that China's e-cash system, well, it will be tightly regulated. With the aim to replace cash, China's digital currency is likely to be more akin to electronic money, stored perhaps on a physical medium than a cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin, which is, of course, based on an online network.
Why would the banks disrupt themselves by introducing a digital currency that would make it easier for consumers and businesses to disintermediate the banks? Well, the banks may not be the innovators. It may be that they are the reactors, that they will react when others innovate. And I'm sure that they've considered the trade-offs involved in whether to disrupt themselves by introducing digital currencies, or whether to wait and react when others introduce digital currencies. Right now, digital currency sounds very edgy and kind of alternative lifestyle, but it's becoming the mainstream. And so the banks, the largest banks in particular, are very aware of this. They're investing in the technology, and they will provide this service as soon as it's profitable enough, after considering the cost to them of losing some of their current business that they're going to disrupt. Banks will eventually either be leading or following, but they'll be involved. They can't avoid it.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Once you have that digital infrastructure, the whole way you think about government benefits can be done differently. Over time, all of these transactions will create a footprint. And so when you go in for credit, the ability to access your history, that you've paid your utility bills on time, that you've saved up money for your children's education, all of those things in your digital trail, accessed in an appropriate way, will allow the credit market to properly score the risk and therefore loosen up more money for investments, not only in the agriculture sector, but for all the entrepreneurs in the country.
So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, a new world is emerging. It is a new world order with significantly different and radically new challenges for the future.
While we have faced challenges before, this one is different. This time we join with all nations across the globe in a common endeavor, using the great advances of science and our instinctive compassion to heal. We will succeed, and that success will belong to every one of us. We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
Governments need to be willing to do things that are out of their historical perspective, or for the most part, it's really a war footing that we need to be on.
We shouldn't underestimate the power of entrepreneurship. We need to escalate that, whether it's through the government's helping with tax breaks or subsidies of that nature to increase manufacturing of those types of products. It can happen quickly. A Marshall-type plan, don't mean to say that exactly, but a Marshall Plan that can go into effect can stimulate change very quickly.
And we have a new world order. Tim, what do you think America's place in the new world order should be? It's always been seen as the global policeman. But as you said before, it's hard to see with all these military conflicts where the winner and loser lies. What should America be doing?
I think the global policeman should be the United Nations.
This is my first time we're seeing actual law enforcement. State Patrol has pulled up here at Franklin Avenue in Nicollet. I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're getting out of their vehicles. The officers appear to be in riot gear. Here, let's carefully get a little bit closer, and they're dispersing the crowd, or at least people are starting to run out of fear of what may occur. State troopers have gotten out of their vehicles. It appears as though they're trying to prevent this march from going. Tear gas has started.
My father joined a generation of leaders from and for the minority, calling out this tale of two cities to you, the majority. And here I am, his son, almost 40 years later, and we have yet to answer the call. A house divided cannot stand. United we stand, divided we fall. E pluribus unum, one out of many. We are all in it together.
Mr. President, you ought to know that this nation is more a tale of two cities than it is just a shining city on a hill. That the problems of a retired school teacher in Duluth are our problems. that the future of the child in Buffalo is our future, that the struggle of a disabled man in Boston to survive and live decently is our struggle, that the hunger of a woman in Little Rock is our hunger, that the failure anywhere to provide what reasonably we might to avoid pain is our failure. And I ask you now, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, for the good of all of us, for the love of this great nation, for the family of America, for the love of God, please make this nation remember how futures are built. Thank you and God bless.
You're raising tuitions at the University of California as rapidly as they can. And so the access that used to be available to the middle class or whatever is just rapidly going away. That's a trade-off society is making because of very, very high medical costs and a lack of willingness to say, you know, is spending $1 million on that last 3 months of life for that patient, would it be better not to lay off those 10 teachers and to make that trade-off in medical costs? But that's called the death panel, and you're not supposed to have that discussion.
You may remember Madonna made reference to the coronavirus being the great equalizer, bringing death to all, equating it with the dance macabre, or the last dance.
That's the thing about COVID-19, it doesn't care about how rich you are, how famous you are. It's the great equalizer.
For the International Day of Happiness, the UN and UNICEF have joined forces with the Smurfs.
Follow me!
Nothing makes a Smurf happier than seeing people help each other and protect our planet.
Wow, 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 wow!
And the United Nations has a plan to accomplish this, the Sustainable Development Goals. From getting all children into schools, to keeping our land and oceans clean, and making sure everyone is healthy and has enough nutritious food to eat.
Whatever you do, don't eat all your rations.
I just ate all my rations! Our world is a big place, but each and every one of us can make a difference. Even a small Smurf can help achieve big goals. What would you do to help? Get ideas at smallsmurfsbiggoals.com. It takes a village, so join the Smurfs to help our world. We're Team Smurf. We stick together. Change is in your hands.
Nailed it!
David, I mean, I know you're a sophisticated guy. The world is a mess. The world is as angry as it gets. Well, you think this is going to cause a little more anger? The world is an angry place.
So it's one of them situations to where it's like, we got to really look at reality and come to grips with what is in store for us. There was a horrific scene of, and I mean, you can go through if you want to burn yourself out on this stuff, all the horrible stuff that's happened in history. I ain't even going to talk about some of it. It is too ridiculous. But I'll just give you kind of a mellow one. Famous picture, soldier with a rifle, uniformed executive order enforcement officer, pointing his rifle at a woman cleaving her son or a child. You can't really see in the picture, but cleaving to this toddler, bending over, crouching, trying to protect the toddler. Now that's a large caliber rifle. I mean, it's going to go straight through both of them and ricochet off behind them, so she ain't protected that bit. I want you to consider that because, you know, statistics, like when you consider hundreds of millions dead in the true epidemic of government control or man-made control systems, because we reject God, that's the disease, is us being in control. That's the disease that'll kill hundreds of millions in just one century, in the last century. We're fixing to make it billions here coming up real soon. Consider that, mother. Here's my point. You ain't escaping this deal. It's going down. That mother had that baby at some point in a time of peace. When the baby was consummated, she was deeply in love with her husband, who was probably killed at that point by the time that picture was being taken. Okay? Deeply in love. Romanticism, marriage, probably had a wedding party. Probably were building up a career, a little house. Mama was taking care of the little baby, nursed it since it was tiny. Little baby, nursing it, letting it. Probably Papa was so excited to bring home some toys for the little baby, right? Watching him grow up, teaching him how to talk. When he said his first word, took his first steps, all of a sudden the world goes to shit around them. And they're like, okay, man, what do we do? Well, they try to sort of escape it. You guys ready for this one? It's really heavy. You can live more. True life. You can live more than 100 years worth of life in 4 seconds as you embrace those who you love, as you know what's coming in, as you know you're about to be shot in the back by an executive enforcement officer because you just dug your own grave. Now you're holding that baby. Your husband's already dead. You're holding that baby tight in your arms. How much love, how much life was passed from mother to child in those last 4 seconds before that bullet passed through? I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying it's horrific. But at the same time, when people get too comfortable, when people fall asleep, when people turn their faces away from the Creator withdraws his protection. But he's very merciful, and he's ready for you at any time, and it doesn't cost nothing. Turn your hearts over to God. Look at the treasure that you have right now and enjoy it while you have it. Don't take it for granted. Is this deal going to get better? You know, in all actuality, in all honesty, it might be the best thing that ever has happened to this country spiritually. Because we're taking shit seriously now. At first, people was watching Netflix. Now those people who are waking up, you have the opportunity to understand. Babylon is fallen. It has become the habitation of every unclean and hateful bird and all the foul spirits. And her sins are piled unto the heavens. And it's only natural that it would experience horrible judgment. Come out of her, my people. Do not be partakers in her sins, so that you don't have to suffer of her plagues. Now, there might be a few that survive, but I'm telling you, if you've read the book, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny remnant. Like, I don't know, a few out of the entire world's population of decent folk that'll even survive. And is surviving really winning? I don't know. How much can you love your family? Think about that. As much as that mother loved her child right before they got executed. God loves you way more than that. And this world is only this long compared to eternity. And he lovingly allowed us to choose our own path. We chose the broad and narrow path straight into a pit of fire. To destruction. We chose it. We demanded it. We went kicking and screaming anytime someone tried to make us go down the narrow path. Because it was hard. It was too hard to take the path of righteousness. It's easier to pose and fake your way through it and pretend like you have righteousness and all this other stuff, but then not actually ever do anything about it. To try to posture yourself to be greater within your little earthly system. Zero long-range vision, no idea what's going on in the greater universe. Because however much we can love our own children and children can love their own parents, God loves you infinity times more. And He's still waiting for you.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through